I feel vindicated.
Primal Chaos.
Hey guys, Primal Chaos here. Welcome to the channel. So, as you may have noticed if you follow the channel, I'm on a bit of a Ren deep dive at the moment. And, you know, a lot of it is to do with the fact that I can't remember an artist in recent times that's really, you know, required listening in such a way that Ren is. And it's one of those things where the further you go down the rabbit hole, the more sort of like avenues open up to different content as far as just, you know, directions from you guys in the comments and things like that. I'll do something and then it's like, oh, if you like that, you need to check out this. And I'm like, where does the rabbit hole end? It seems like every time I go around a corner, there's like 3 more like branches. And it's testament to how prolific Ren is as an artist. And also, you know, I'm kind of late to the party as well. There's a lot of stuff going back in time. This one, I really don't have any context for. It came out about a month ago. And the one thing you need to understand, I know you guys see me a lot on you know, say Ren's Discord and things like that, but I'm not the kind of person who, if it's an artist I'm interested in reacting to, I won't go and just devour their entire content like in the way that I would if I was like a super fan kind of the artist. Because one, it costs me too much in potential reactions further down the track. And I like to share these sort of experiences with you guys. But also, I've never been that kind of a music listener. I kind of allow songs to come to me and I kind of absorb them when I'm ready for them as well. But, you know, in keeping with my schedule, I've got to sort of dive in and check out things. And I've never been so upset about being a reactor than, you know, with artists like Ren and Chinchilla, particularly because I've just discovered this amazing new talent and I just can't dive in the way that the rest of you can, you know. So this one, I'm late to the party on. This came out about a month ago. But if any of the other videos I've been doing are any indication, you know, it's going to be amazing. I don't like to put that kind of pressure on any artist, but at the end of the day, Ren, I think, can take it. You know, because like I said after the first few videos, I was like, when is the genius going to end? Nobody can be this prolifically great all the time. Exception maybe someone like Prince, you know. Ren just keeps surprising. And it doesn't even matter if I go back into his catalog earlier on. It's the quality doesn't seem to ever dissipate as it goes back in time, like a lot of bands. Bands will usually find their feet at a certain point. Anything prior to that is great if you're a super fan and you want to know everything in their catalog. But sometimes you can easily sort of go, okay, we're going to start from here and go forwards because, you know, and then usually that'll go up to a certain point where they sort of maybe lose you. You know, and for most bands, they'll have, there's a saying that bands usually have 3 good albums in them, you know, but Ren just seems to just be constantly popping out things that are just consistently original, mind-blowing, perfectly executed, beautifully shot, with great vision as well. And so I'm yet to sort of have that moment where I'm like, okay, I get it. The guy's human. This is the example of where he didn't give the kind of performance we come to expect from him, you know. That said, any day it could happen, but so far, so good. So this one's going to be Ren Murderer. I love within three notes, it's got Ren's flavor all over it, right? Beautiful video shot, a really imposing sort of logo splashed across the page, you know, like titling splashed across the page, and just that his signature guitar tone and sort of melody. You don't even need to, like, if this came on the radio and I only heard that much, I'd be like, oh, it's a Ren song, you know? And that is the mark of a true artist right there. Let's jump back to the start. Oh, there's some vinyl noise.
You better stay on my zone because I'm ready to kill. I'll sit on my throne, made of bodies and bones because I'm mentally ill. I'm feeling alive, I got the will to survive, so never test my skill. For goodness sake, man, I'm ready to break, man. Murderer, homie, it's the way that I get down. Rat-tat-tat-tat. Murderer, if you see me on the corner of my town, get back, back, back. Murderer, swing for your jaw in the first round. The tat-tat-tat. Murderer, homie, it's the way that I get down, yeah. I was born born shameless, fighting out in Brighton with the neighbours. Brother, ask your mother what my name is. I was born famous, trendsetter, hot stepper, greatest. Shocking like a finger in the anus. I was born wasted, stoned out my brain, brother faded. Writing catchy syllables contagious. I was born courageous, naked and fucking outrageous. With a microphone I rock stages. I jump on the rhythm of rhyming cyclone. And
Wow, that was great. That took me right back. Like I mentioned in the last video I did, was it maybe Money Game 2, part 2, how I noticed an esoteric connection to a particular line from a Fugees song sung by Lauryn Hill. And someone in the comments mentioned that Lauryn Hill is an influence of Ren. I don't know how true that is. Typically, I just always assume the comment section knows more than I do because, again, you guys are on it 24 hours a day. I'm a guest here, right? But there were some elements to that verse that really struck me as, again, very similar to Fugees era hip hop. And maybe it's just because that's my point of reference from that era. I didn't listen to a lot of rap, but for whatever reason, I became obsessed with the score, that album. But just the way he sort of discusses that. First of all, Ren is in incredible shape. First of all, for a guy with so many health problems, man, I guess, you know, there's something to be said for respecting your body. When your body's betraying you at its most, that's the time to respect it and treat it the way it deserves to be treated and be as healthy as possible, because he looks insane. He's ripped. But, you know, first of all, I mean, the video clip just looks like straight up like a Guy Ritchie movie. and maybe there's something to that. You know, I mean, if you look at, not Lock, Stock, the other one, Snatch, like, you know, I mean, there's some similarities here between him and Brad Pitt's character to a certain degree. But, you know, one thing I wanted to go back and check, though, was how, I'm assuming Sam shot this again. I don't know, maybe. I know that a couple of people I think work with Ren. But, that transition through the window is super clean. They must have rehearsed that because, like, I mean, I'm certain they did. But watch how smoothly this transition goes through the window.
The will to survive, so never test my skill. For goodness sake, man, I'm ready to break, man. Murderer, homie, it's the way that I get down.
So he does a full 360 lap here of Ren without getting hit.
Get back. Murderer, swing for your jaw in the first round. Murderer,
And then that's straight backwards through that without stepping down.
I was born shameless,
Clean.
out in Brighton with the neighbours. Brother, ask your mother what my name is. I was born famous, trendsetter, hot stepper, greatest. Shocking like a finger in the anus. I was born wasted, stoned on my brain, brother faded. Writing catchy syllables contagious. I was born courageous, naked and fucking outrageous. With a microphone, I rock stages.
Oh, what line is it? Again, is it a Lauryn Hill line? From when, while you're Al Capone, I'll be Nina Simone defecating on your microphone. Like it's got that sort of brashness that was, you know, pretty predominant in 90s hip hop of, like, you know, it's like the stage was competitive and everybody was talking themselves up about how they're alone in their stature in the game, sort of thing. And there was just something really bold and brash about that that whole section through there. I was born, what is it, naked and fearless and whatever. Just brilliant. I love it so much. I'm going to go back again. I'm going to hear that again.
What my name is, I was born famous, trendsetter, hot stepper, greatest. Shocking like a finger in the anus. I was born wasted, stoned on my brain, brother faded. Writing catchy syllables contagious. I was born courageous, naked and fucking outrageous. With a microphone, I rock stages. I jump on the rhythm of rhyming cyclone, and I pull his caliber right out the stone. King Punk, the precision it hits like Stallone. Rocky, keep it cocky, I'll be Al Capone. I walk alone, sit on the office throne, and if you want it, I'll deny it like a mortgage.
He's been listening to the score, man. I'm telling you. I'm calling it now. If you're on Ren's Discord, you need to hit him up and let him know. I want to speak to him, all right? I'm trying to get together this whole podcast thing that's going to be long-form interviews with these artists. And, God, Ren is so on the bucket list. But we got to talk Fugees, man. It's the way that we rock when we're doing our thing. I love that band so much. But yeah, like that Al Capone line seals the deal for me 100%. He's been listening to Fugees. Well, you be imitating Al Capone, I've been Nina Simone and defecating on you. I'm pretty sure that was the line. I I feel vindicated.
Phone, I rock stages. I jump on the rhythm of rhyming cyclone, and I pull his caliber right out the stone. King Punk, the precision it hits like Stallone. Rocky, keep it cocky, I'll be Al Capone. I walk alone, sit on the office throne, and if you want it, I'll deny it like a mortgage loan. Your daughter's home, we'll be staying home alone. Condone the bone and eat it like a Toblerone, bitch. If you catch me alone, you better stay on my zone, because I'm ready to kill. I'll sit on my throne, made of bodies and bones, because I'm mentally ill. I'm feeling alive, I got the will to survive, so never test my skill. For goodness sake, man, I'm ready to break, man. Murderer, homie, it's the way I get down. Rat-tat-tat-tat. Murderer, if you see me on the corner of my town, get back, back, back. Murderer, swing for your jaw in the first round. Tat-tat-tat. Murderer, homie, it's the way that I get down. The bigger they come, the bigger they fall. The trigger the gun, I'm clipping them all like eeny, meeny, miny, mo. I line them up against the wall. I don't mean metaphorically, lyrical bullets. I mean actually fucking kill him, squeeze the trigger and pull it. Blood splat, how's it going, lad? Brands are flowing mad. Trust that, I'm a pro with that. Seeds are sowing bad, boy. I'm an addict, volcanic, a man is twisted and manic. The rhymes are gifted, goddammit. I push the button, we panic. Breathe, I seize the land, sky and the seas. It's easy, see me freestyle freely. What man? Yes, I came to rock, man. Drop it like it's hot, fam. Wearing clothes from Oxfam. Goddamn, I am a blood sucking titan. From the streets of Brighton, hate you with my right hand, sucker. If you catch me alone, you better stay on my zone, because I'm ready to kill.
Is that chloroform?
Sit on my throne, made of bodies and bones, because I'm mentally ill. I'm feeling alive, I got the will to survive, so never test my skill. For goodness sake, man, I'm ready to break, man. Murderer, homie, it's the way that I get down. Rat-tat-tat-tat. Murderer, if you see me on the corner of my town, get back, back, back. Murderer, swing for your jaw in the first round. Tat-tat-tat. Murderer, homie, it's the way that I get down. Whoa. Homie, it's the homie is the.
All right. Why do I feel like there's a million little elements in this video clip that are little nuanced things that I missed? I feel like even just something. Wait a minute. Okay, yeah, no, I was wondering if maybe the number plate meant something, but it's the same on the front and the back. I don't know what that means. Either way, first of all, again, the music video is a goddamn masterpiece. You know, the camera work is insane. The choreography of everything's insane. The timing of everything is perfect. Like, when, like, just the way when he gets into the car here, and right now, boom.
The bigger they come, the bigger they fall. The trigger the gun, I'm clipping.
Just, you can't buy timing like that. Like, so many little nuanced things can go wrong. I don't know how many takes they did of this and how rehearsed it was and things like that, but the work shows, right? I mean, and again, the callback to the masks from Animal Flow, which again, I don't know, maybe that sort of dates back even further. I'm not sure, but it seems to be like part of the, you know, because Animal Flow is a more recent song. It may be part of like the imagery that Ren's trying to string together right now. I'd imagine it doesn't go back too much further than that, but just, I love the attitude of this song because, you know, a lot of people have told me you need to check out some of his more lighthearted stuff. You know, because it seems like there's always a really strong message with Ren in my experience, because that's kind of what I've been bouncing around through. And I've been sort of meaning to get to something that's a little bit less heavy, you know, as far as what it's designed for, what its purpose is, what message it's trying to send. And this one, I feel like that's what it is. It's that sort of, again, I used the word brash before, but it's this brash sort of self-promotional, more of straight up the line hip hop sort of thing. I'm a gangster. You don't mess with me, right? And, you know, the funny thing about it is a lot of times when artists will have a particular niche and then they go and do something different or something else. And again, I know this isn't the first time Ren's sort of delved into this sort of thing. But, you know, he's gone, this is to me, and again, I'm not a hip hop guy, but this seems way more like classic hip hop. The flavor of it all really seems to suit him beautifully, right? And, you know, he can pivot and he can do things and he can come up with bold choices. But because the nature of his artistic process is so ingrained in his DNA, it's pure. It's not an act. He's not putting on a facade. There's no artifice to it. It's just him. I feel like he can get away with doing anything because no matter what he does, it's got Ren's stamp on it. It just feels like Ren. Like I said, the opening notes, you know, most hip hop artists, when they're creating a beat or a track to rap over, or a producer who's working with hip hop artists or whatever, they'll get samples and loops and they'll come up with some stuff. And you end up with things that sound very similar because everybody's pulling samples and stuff from the same sample libraries. Or, you know, they're sort of ripping beats off vinyl records, so they have a certain flavor to them, you know, like 70s sort of stuff, you know, that you're ripping break beats off and things like that, that sort of has a particular sound to it, which was, again, that's very Fuji's era, right? A lot of times, you know, I mean, they have a whole skit on there about like going to a Chinese restaurant and it turns into a kung fu movie because that was kind of like what everybody grew up watching back in the day. And it's sort of, that all connects and it all adds up and works. But there's, you know, Ren somehow still manages to take, rather than pulling elements from everywhere that are just stuff that he's found around the place, he's using his own voice. He's using, like, and when I say voice, I mean his overall sound. So his, you know, the guitar, his particular plunky sort of nylon string guitar aesthetic, or, you know, he might use a telly or something like that. Has a very specific sound that just in anyone else's hands would sound like a different guitar, but in Ren's hands, it's a signature, right? And so he starts the song.
If you catch me alone, you better stay on my zone because I'm ready to kill. I'll sit on my throne.
But and again, right at the start there, you're hearing there's vinyl crackling there, like from a record player, which again is consummate sort of old school hip hop.
If you catch me alone, you better stay on
I'm just waiting until a beat comes in.
I'll sit on my throne, made of bodies and bones because I'm mentally ill.
Beautiful melody too.
Alive, I got the will to survive, so never test my skill. For goodness sake, man, I'm ready to break, man. Murderer, homie, it's the way that I get down. Rat-tat-tat-tat. Murderer, if you see me on the corner of my town, get back, back, back. Murderer, swing for your jaw in the first round.
Yeah, right.
Tat-tat-tat. Murderer, homie, it's the way that I get down, yeah. I was born shameless, fighting out.
Yeah, man. There's so many elements in the composition of the backing track that, or the beat as it's called, that are just so. Again, you can almost pinpoint it to that era in the early '90s of hip hop and stuff. It's so beautifully constructed that it sounds authentic, even though this was made in 2023. It feels timeless. It feels classic. It doesn't feel like something that's been ultra modernized. The bass sounds particularly are just consummate, like hip hop sounds. It's kind of got this weird sort of clipped, distorted sort of bass sound, and the rhythm, the snare, and everything. The hi-hats are just like straight off a record, like as a loop. You know, whether they were or not, I don't know. But the Smoke and Mirrors is giving definitely like classic, authentic hip hop. But you know, I love that it starts with a strong melody, right? Like starting the song with a chorus is, again, it's a choice. A lot of people don't do that. They'll have an intro and then the verse and then they'll come into a chorus. The concept in songwriting is you want the chorus to come in. There's some sort of an expression someone came up with that's like, if you don't hit the chorus in 30 seconds, you've failed because people don't have attention spans that long. And so a lot of times you'll see songs that will start with the chorus. So you already have the hook. And then it's like, hey, allow me to express myself through a verse now. Boom. And then it goes into that. And then a chorus and then another verse. And then usually there'll be some sort of a breakdown or a middle eight sort of bridge or something like that to sort of shake things up before you sort of round out the song with more choruses and some variations on the chorus and ad-libs and things like that. And so, you know, I love the boldness of sort of diving straight into your strong melody. And then, you know, the verses are anything but throwaway. They're really well crafted in a particular style, in a particular flavor, and yet Ren's voice is so identifiable. He doesn't even, like, I've heard British rappers before. Ren doesn't sound like them. He sounds like Ren, you know? And again, being such an original persona in a world where everybody's trying to sound like something they heard on the radio is it's not nothing. It's definitely, I think that's the difference between a lot of times the difference between successful artists that people want to support as far as like record labels and things like that. The difference with them and people that are trying their hardest and sort of getting no attention and getting nowhere, oftentimes it comes down to, how identifiable are you? How approachable is your sound? Like how much does it grab people's attention? And, how good are you at writing songs and hooks, like things that just earworms that just catch in people's minds, and you'll be singing them 20 minutes later without even realizing you don't know the words, that's the difference. If you can hit all three of those sort of pillars of being a great artist, then I'm not saying that that's going to make you successful, but it'll definitely open doors and avenues towards you becoming successful. In Ren's case, he's doing it through capturing the imagination of us, the people who are directly generating the attention. There's no real record labels and promoters and things like that. But the doors he's opening are the doors to a groundswell of independent support for people who just understand the magic that they're witnessing when they see Ren. And that's not nothing. That's not insignificant. Obviously he's, even in the time I've been following him, he's gone from strength to strength and growing exponentially. Even just like the Discord was pretty hectic when I sort of signed up, but now it's chaos, So, you can see these movements happening in real time. And at some point, I feel like we're going to be talking about Ren, 30 years from now, if I'm still alive, as one of those moments in history, like in the same vein as something like Smells Like Teen Spirit by Nirvana, where even people at the time, there was established artists at that time who were, big hair metal sort of dudes in the late 80s, and they're going, yeah, man, it's going to be like this forever. And then they turned on MTV and Smells Like Teen Spirit came on and they went, oh, we're done. This is it. This is literally the end of our era. It's gone. It's just vanishing before our eyes, because they could see the power of that change and they were smart enough to sense what that meant to a younger audience, And I think that's what's going on here. I think there's no, it's not coincidence that Ren's getting the kind of views he's getting and the attention he's getting. And it's because of his consistency, his unique voice, of his art, I should say, to be more clear, the quality of everything he produces. Like, he must be so fastidious about making sure that every detail is perfect, because he doesn't want to fail in the eyes of the people who adore him, right? And also because I think he has a consummate work ethic of always producing something that's great. And he's got some great collaborators who are going along on the ride with him as well, which is brilliant. And so, that's about all I can say. I've prattled on way too long for this video. This has become more of a philosophical rant than anything else. But that was brilliant, fantastic. Ren is one of a kind. I think I wrote somewhere that on TikTok or something that he's a once in a generation artist. And I don't think it's hyperbole to say that. I think that this is absolutely one of those situations, like when the Beatles first appeared, that just is manifesting an incredible longevity, right? Provided Ren decides he wants to keep doing this sort of stuff. So if you feel like I've brightened your day at all, feel free to support the channel. Just buy me a coffee. I'll leave a link in the description. Otherwise, just like, share, follow, subscribe, post this on whatever forums and Discords and everything you want it on. I appreciate the support, you guys, definitely. And the other thing is too, if you've made it this far, and every reactor says stuff like this, but something like 89% of all people who watch my videos are unsubscribed. And so if you want to see more of this, I'm trying to kick over 25,000 subscribers. I'm constantly hearing from people they can't believe how few subscribers I have. So let's do something about it. Let's rally around Primal Chaos and see if we can't get me up there. Like I said, I really want to start getting into a situation where I can start talking to people like this, interviewing people and going on deep dives about, music composition, and not your typical interview sort of nonsense. I want to really get into the nitty gritty of what makes somebody an artist and the process with which they sort of found their voice and things like that. Really in-depth, long-form conversations. And I want to do that via a podcast / YouTube show that's specifically interviewing artists, right? And the best way, if you want to see me talk to people like this, the best way to do that is to just big up the channel. If you're not subscribed, hit subscribe, hit the bell, discuss the channel on Discords and things like that. The best way to sort of help me to get to the point where people like Ren are going to be interested in talking to me is with your support. Hit subscribe, hit the bell. I hate being the guy who's sort of constantly pressuring people like that, but I'm at that point now where I really want to make something like this happen in reality. And I've got a vision for it and everything. What I need is the clout. And the best way to get that is if everybody helps me out. So thanks again, guys. Stay primal. I'll catch you on the next one.